Hello, my name is Chloe Folan, and today's video is in relation to the Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 workshops that are starting in March. And I just wanted to give an announcement that there's been about 7 places reserved. So the workshops will be going ahead. I'm only taking a maximum of 12, and that includes me in that 12, being in that 12. So if you would like to join my Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 workshop classes starting in March, it will be online via Zoom. Please do contact me soon because I will have a cutoff point for registration about 2 weeks before the first class. And one of the reasons for that is, and I'll be sending the email out about this in the next week or two, prior to starting the Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 workshop classes with me, you were sent an introduction video that gives you 3 techniques to start working with. They are meditation techniques, and they are techniques for gently starting to link with the soul in a more conscious manner, and techniques for starting to strengthen and cleanse the auric field. So I do like people to have worked with those techniques before the classes start naturally enough. And it's to help to start, raise your frequency, raise your vibration, bring in some healing, and that being worked with prior to everyone gathering online via Zoom for the start of the Phase 1 workshop classes. And there is also an introduction video that you are sent to watch before the classes as well. So there is prep work before the classes begin. Not a lot, just a little bit of homework to get everyone in a good place and on the same page and starting to bring in some alignment in gentle higher frequencies so everyone's in a really good space before the classes begin. So what I wanted to also highlight today is not just that those classes will be officially going ahead, and if you have already reserved a place, if you're one of my 7, I will be sending a follow-up email next week with further details, but do understand that you can join the classes up to 2 weeks before the first class starts. But what I would like to explain today is how the Rainbow Bridge techniques, because they are an Aquarian age technique, these techniques were very responsibly created over 40 years ago, but in preparation for the Aquarian age that we are now in. So these techniques were very ahead of their time and created by the late founders Josephine and Norman Stevens, very responsible esoterists with a lot of knowledge. Like that, I was unfortunate that I didn't get to directly meet them. I've been trained by one of their direct students. So with the Rainbow Bridge techniques, I want to describe the techniques from more of a mundane way, if you will. I am going to bring in a bit more of a spiritual description into it. But I just want to describe the Rainbow Bridge techniques from a more mundane point of view, if you will, because sometimes people believe that these types of evolutionary enforcement techniques, meaning Rainbow Bridge, sometimes believe that those techniques are only for people that are involved in spirituality or people who are spiritual or things of that nature. The Rainbow Bridge techniques, because they were created ahead of their time for the Aquarian age, they were created for all, meaning people in all fields of service. And the techniques were put out there for that reason. That's why they were publicly released. They were publicly released for all, not just people that would identify with spiritual techniques and spiritual pathways, for all. So to explain that a little bit better, so in other words, what I'm trying to get across is these techniques are most definitely for people who are engineers, people who are artists, people who are scientists, people who are psychologists, these techniques are for all, for everybody, to really help everyone collectively tap into their own wisdom, tap into their own inner knowledge, and in their field of service, help to birth an expansion in knowledge and awareness in the field of service you find yourself in. In other words, you don't have to just do rainbow bridge techniques if you're involved in spiritual pathway work. The rainbow bridge techniques would be for someone who would come to me, who would be an engineer, and they would say to me, Chloe, look, I'm looking for a very practical meditation technique that helps me evolve as a person and also can help me evolve the work that I'm doing, meaning they want to remain an engineer, they want to remain in their field of service, but maybe are feeling a bit stuck on their career pathway and are looking for a meditation technique that can help support them continue to work in their own field of service. Same for an artist, someone who says to me, Chloe, I want to focus on being an artist, so I'm looking for a meditation technique, an evolution enforcement technique that helps me stay as me, but helps me evolve and evolve my work, or helps me to integrate and evolve my work more. So that's what I'm trying to get across here. The rainbow bridge techniques, while there is definitely a very deep spiritual side to them, are very practical in their application. They're very practical techniques. They're very straightforward techniques that help you evolve, and also therefore you evolve where your field of service is. So just to bring this up, the late founders of the rainbow bridge techniques, as I mentioned, were Josephine and Norman Stevens. And they do discuss this in the first book they released, The Rainbow Bridge. It's the first book. Unfortunately, this is now out of print, but you sometimes can get secondhand copies on Amazon. But my goodness, please don't feel you've got to spend a small fortune. I've sometimes seen these resold at a very exorbitant price. So maybe keep an eye out and see if you can get your hands on one at a lower price, if you will. But what I wanted to discuss is talking about the rainbow bridge techniques today from a point of view of the 10 fields of service and how these Aquarian age techniques apply to all and help all evolve in their fields of service. And it's very interesting. So if you are lucky enough to have this book, 2 moments, please. Let me find the chapter. Sorry, I had this marked, ready for the video, but like that, you go to look for it and it vanishes. 2 moments, please. I do have it marked. Where did it go on me? Apologies. Where did it go? 2 moments. I blame this on the full moon. The Aquarian full moon. Here we go. What is going on here? 2 moments. I'm going to pause the video. 2 moments, please. Apologies, I'm back. And the mix-up was I'd actually picked up the incorrect Rainbow Bridge book. Apologies, I need to correct something. The information I'm about to read out is from the Rainbow Bridge Phase 2 book, not Phase 1. Apologies, I thought it was Phase 1. the information I'm about to read out, if you're lucky enough to have the Rainbow Bridge Phase 2 book, it's on page 56, and it discusses how the Rainbow Bridge techniques are Aquarian age techniques for the Aquarian age, for helping people to evolve and therefore evolve in their fields of service. So people who are interested in the 10 fields of service in the New Age, because over the next 2,000 years, or approximately 2,000 years, there are 10 fields of service in particular that are going to evolve with group work. Remember, the Aquarian age is about the breaking down of human hierarchical structures into more inclusive group work, where it's more equal group work and sharing of resources and exchanges going on between these particular 10 fields of service. So in the Rainbow Bridge Phase 2 book, Apologies, I'm on page 56, and I'm on the last paragraph, and I quote, "In the past, it has been assumed that initiations were solely a concern of the churches or spiritual or philosophical groups or esoteric groups. The truth is that the initiations concern those individuals qualified by their development in all departments of human activity." Dwell Cool, meaning Ascended Master Dwell Cool, lists in Discipleship in the New Age Volume 1, pages 35 to 40, the different categories and departments of human activity wherein disciple initiates function. So everyone on the evolutionary pathway in these 10 fields of service. So this is what Ascended Master Dwell Cool has to say about the 10 fields of service. 1, telepathic communicators. 2, trained observers. 3, magnetic healers. 4, educators in the New Age. 5, political organizations. 6, workers in the field of religion. So I want to pause here for a minute. This is why I do get agitated when spiritual people think they're doing the world a favor by bashing religion. And look, I'm not going to open this can of worms today, but people have a right to identify with religion if they wish to. Yes, I fully understand that there are aspects of religion that do need to heal, but likewise, there's aspects of spiritual or so-called spiritual pathways that equally need to heal. There is no field of service that is free from where it needs to heal. All fields of service are healing, because all of us as individuals are still healing and evolving. So, field of religion is still going to be there. People are allowed to identify with religion and still enjoy religion. 7, scientific service. 8, psychologists. 9, finances and economists, although obviously money and barter and exchange is going to be evolving in different directions over the next 2,000 years, so finances and economists. And 10, creative workers. So because we're just into the Aquarian age, so for the next 2,000 years, those are the 10 fields of service we're going to notice more. Of course, there'll be overlaps. And where in fields of service will be continuing to evolve. So this is what I mean. Rainbow Bridge is for everyone. Rainbow Bridge was created with that in mind. Rainbow Bridge was created with the intention to help those 10 fields of service, those areas evolve, because I'll say it again. If we want to see those fields of service evolve, it's about helping and encourage others in a healthy manner to continue to evolve as individuals, to help those fields of service grow, mature, and become more group Aquarian age orientated as human hierarchical structures continue to break down that are a hindrance to more inclusive equality and sharing and group work. So I'll read out those 10 fields of service again. 1, telepathic communicators. 2, trained observers. 3, magnetic healers. 4, educators of the new age. 5, political organizations. 6, workers in the field of religion. 7, scientific observers. 8, psychologists. 9, financiers and economists. And 10, creative workers. So rainbow bridges for all. And I always find it very interesting what causes different people to be attracted to a rainbow bridge. So in other words, if you are someone who's working as an engineer, working as a mechanic, it doesn't matter if you don't think the work you're doing is spiritual. It is. Your field of service matters, and it's very much a part of the intrinsic web of service areas that are going to continue to evolve over the next 2,000 years. So it doesn't matter what work you're currently in. If you are seeking a meditation technique or an evolutionary enforcement technique where you're just looking for something for you to help you feel more integrated and whole as you work in your field of service, whether it's as a maths teacher, whether it's as an artist, whether it's as an engineer, any, whether you work in politics, whether you are more religious and looking for something that you can integrate very appropriately into your religious pathway, because this technique is very straightforward. It can be discussed from a very straightforward point of view for meditation, and I can also discuss it in depth from a spiritual one. But this is where I would like to bring in some spiritual insight into what the Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 techniques do and achieve. One way of describing how this technique helps an individual person or individuals help other fields of service grow and develop, whether it's the arts, engineering, maths, other areas of education, is because by the time you have finished Phase 1 of the Rainbow Bridge techniques, so you're taught the classes, and then as you do the homework and continue to do the meditation techniques yourself at home, it takes about 4 to 5 months to complete, with about 10 minutes out of your time a day to keep working on the techniques, maybe 20, but continuing to work with the techniques you were taught. By the time you've finished Phase 1 of the Rainbow Bridge techniques, what is called the personality service thread, the first portion of it that weaves from the solar plexus to the triad chakra above the soul star. It's that thread. That thread will be woven by the time you have finished the Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 techniques. And what that thread does, when that thread weaves, that thread has an attraction quality to it that helps attract in what is more authentic to your service pathway. So that is the healing portion in the technique for anyone in any field of service, meaning someone who's an engineer, they take the Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 technique classes. They work with the technique properly at home, doing the homework for it to properly complete the techniques. And by the time the techniques are properly completed, you'll have your personality service thread building to your triad. And that thread helps to attract in circumstances and situations that are supportive of your field of service. Isn't that beautiful? And on top of that, it has the Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 techniques have a more mundane impact on helping with internal thought process, helping with clarity, working with inspirations, working with ideas, keeping you very grounded and present as well. So, like I was saying, if you're interested in the Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 techniques, please do feel free to contact me. The classes are going ahead. 7 places have already been reserved. I'll only be taking a maximum of 12, so now I'd like to share the details if you're interested in signing up. So I'll just bring up my screen share. 2 moments, please. So I'll put a link to these details down the bottom of this video. So the Rainbow Bridge Phase 1 techniques. These classes, because there's more than one class to take for the Phase 1 techniques to be taught. The techniques are being taught online via Zoom. So the classes are starting Sunday, the 3rd of March. And the classes are being hosted between 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. Irish time zone. So there are 4 2-hour classes to take, starting in March and concluding mid-June. So I'll put all of the details down the bottom of this video. And if you have any further questions for me, or if you would like to sign up, please contact me through my website. I'll put a contact link down the bottom as well. Or you can contact me through my website, www.chloefolan.com. I just want to see if there's anything further I wanted to mention. Yes, and if you are someone watching this video who has already signed up, I'll be sending a follow-up email to all in February who've signed up. So on that note, as always, I would like to wish everyone a very healthy week and a very blessed week. 7 ray blessings to all.